Hey, everybody, Jen Hatmaker here, your host of the For the Love podcast. Welcome to the show. Oh, I like this series so much. We are doing a whole series called For the Love of What If. This was my weird brainchild. We're just dreaming a little in this series about all kinds of things. Like, what if you turned that little side gig into a whole business? What if you took a chance on that passion project you've been noodling? Or what if you followed your gut and you went for something in your life that you just keep thinking you can't have? What if you followed your instincts and went, this thing feels a little bit scary, but what if I went for it, right? I think you're going to love these conversations we're having. It's particularly if you've been contemplating at all, however big or small, whether it would be the center point of your entire life or something over here that you would like to build on the side. It doesn't really matter what it is. I just think there's going to be so much for you to take away from this series that maybe inspire you to take the plunge into whatever that space may be, in whatever context it is for you, whether it's relational or career or physical health, whatever the thing is. I am ecstatic, truly inspired by our guest today, and have been for a long time. Got the honor of sitting down today with the lovely Kendra Scott. You know her. She's an entrepreneur. She is obviously a founder, a passionate lead designer, and the executive chairwoman of her billion with a B dollar jewelry brand. So, to say she's a savvy go-getter is obviously an understatement, but wait till you hear her story. You're just going to love this conversation. She gets down to the brass tacks with us on what it was actually like and how she really started. And it just may not be what you think at all. She started in 2002 with $500 and a little dream, kind of on the heels of a failed business, which we're going to talk about. And I'm about to give too much away, and I don't want to, because I love the details of her origin story of the Kendra Scott brand. And now, of course, we see her now at the end. We see her, she's been on the Forbes America's Richest Self-Made Women list. She was the 2017 Ernst & Young's National Entrepreneur of the Year. She's on every list. She occupies the rarest air in terms of a successful business. But I think what you're going to hear her talk about today that you're going to love are that the three big pillars in her life are family, fashion, and philanthropy. You're going to hear that loud and clear. She's a mom of three, and she said in her own words, the truest form of success is giving back in a meaningful way. And you guys, I hate to steal a tiny bit of her thunder, but at this point, Kendra has given $50 million to women's empowerment. $50 million. There are nuggets of wisdom, literally every 2 minutes in this entire interview. And I was just grateful. I just finished the interview with her, and I'm sitting here feeling inspired and thinking about what's possible, what's in front of me. What am I thinking of? What little weird thought am I thinking of that may be asking for my attention? It's fun because Kendra started her company out of her spare bedroom here in Austin, 3 months shy of birthing her first kid, with card tables set up in there. It's such a fun story. I'm going to let her tell it. But I'm just telling you, she started normal, like any one of us would on anything, just literally from step one. Nothing was handed to her. It wasn't even easy either. It took 10 years. But boy, what a story she has to tell. Her passionate spirit is evident. You will love hearing from her. She is so vibrant and so exuberant and just genuine. When you talk to somebody, you think that person is sincere. That's the real deal. That's how you're going to feel today after hearing from her. So she is living, breathing proof that there is light at the end of those what if tunnels. I'm just so tickled she's on the show today. And I cannot wait to bring you this really just incredible conversation with the outstanding, the one and only Kendra Scott. Okay, well, I am so excited because I love you and I have loved you for a long time. And now you're on my show and I'm thrilled. Kendra Scott, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, Jen, I feel the exact same way. I love you. And I'm so excited to be on your show and so excited that we finally are getting a chance to meet, even though we're virtual. It's still amazing.
It's amazing. And it's time. And so I was just telling you before we got started that I've loved you for a really long time. And anybody who lives here in Austin, and really anybody who's paying attention to you at all, and we're going to get into this, but knows that your generosity toward the city is constant and over the top. And so in where we live here in Austin, Texas, it's just a known fact that you are such a good sister to the city and to its people. And so I'm just really proud of you for that. And I've been on the receiving end of your generosity. And so, yay, you.
Oh, well, thank you. And what's been so fun is that, I started the brand here, but, for us now to be able to be in 130 locations across the United States, we're able to spread that love and joy that, our brand loves to bring to the communities that we're in. So, since I started 20 years ago, we've now been able to just make an input on thousands of nonprofits across the country. And, of course, Austin's our home base, but it's really now just expanded way across Texas borders. And I think I'm so proud of our company for that. So thank you, because that's what drives all of us every day for sure.
Totally. You should be proud. Let's start here. This is a fun series we're in. We're calling it For the Love of What If. And our whole thought around this series was for all my listeners who are predominantly women, what if you went for it? What if you chased that thing down? What if you threw caution to the wind and took a risk? And that runs the gamut of possibilities in everybody's life. Everybody's what if is a little bit different. But I love having you here for this because you did a big what if, and we're gonna drill down into that. And so I want to start with an objection that I think a lot of my listeners are it's this little rumble in their own little internal self, their own brain. This is their internal voice. And it is this. I don't know if I can do this and be a mom. Right. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
I'd like to hear you talk frankly about what it's like for you to be an entrepreneur and a mom. And I'm a working mom too, busy working mom. And it, for a lot of reasons, it's beautiful. And a lot of reasons it's challenging. And yes. My days are probably like yours, and that no 2 days are the same. It's just, we don't have those kind of careers. And so, and as you've mentioned many times, family is one of the pillars at the core of who you are, your brand, your company. So can you talk just briefly before we get into the magic of your brand to the mom who's going, I have a little what if in my little dream heart, and the whole parent piece makes me feel scared. It makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel like, can I do it? Can I do both of these things? Do I have to pick?
For me, when I started my business, I was a brand new mom. I had a newborn baby. And when he was 3 months old, I took him store to store with me in a baby Bjorn and, with my jewelry in a tea box. And I was like, hey, here I am. I'm this, local designer. Yes, I'm bringing my baby into your store. And I think he helped sell jewelry, quite honestly, with his cute little face.
Totally.
But I decided then that I wanted to be the best mother I could be for this child. And I wanted to be present for him. I wanted to be there for those moments for him. But I also wanted a career. I wanted to be able to do what I loved, which was fashion and design. And I really, after losing my stepfather to cancer and just going through realizing how we have such a short time on this earth, I wanted to make a positive impact. And if I could do those three things, that would be success for me. And I think for anyone, it is dreaming into what does that life look like? What are the things that matter to you? And really thinking about that. Okay, I'm a mom. I want to be there for my kids. But so maybe you've got this idea. Well, when I started with $500, I didn't go, oh, I'm building this $1 billion brand out of my bedroom.
Yeah.
I did it, each day I took a step forward. And I did what I could do. And then I thought, okay, I have more orders. I'm going to need a little bit more help. So I literally had a babysitter that came in twice a week to help me. And I trained her how to wire wrap. And so during that time, we would be wire wrapping, right? And so I think sometimes we get overwhelmed when we think of the whole big thing, right?
Yeah.
If you think, okay, it's going to just take it a little, Rome wasn't built in a day. You just have to you can't eat a whole cake in one bite. You got to take it bite by bite by bite. And so I think each day you make a little progress and a little step forward, and know that the other side of fear, on the other side of that what if, is usually something great, and you can break through it, and you're not going to lose anything for trying.
That's right.
Because the ones that don't even try never know. And even if it doesn't work out, even if you fail, and I failed in my first business. That failure was the greatest education I ever got into business. It was my bridge to help me build the successful business I have today. And I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, Jen, if I didn't have that failed business. So I think for anyone out there scared, I always say, and I wrote this in Born to Shine, my book, is put yourself in the worst case scenario. Really think about it. And then you go, okay, you lived in that moment. That wasn't so bad. Now I know what that's like, right? So now I'm going to just try to go for it. And if family and being a mother is important to you, you can work that in. My kids went to the office with me. Yep. I had a pack and play, in my office. We would pass around babies. I wasn't the only mom bringing my baby to the office. And, we would work with each other during, carpool pickups if somebody needed to go pick up their kids.
That's right.
And we built a community where family was our first core value. And saying that a woman should not have to choose anymore between being a mother or having a great career. We believe at Kendra Scott that you can have both. You just have to have the love and support in the community around you to make that happen.
I could not agree more. I think the choice between the two is pretend. That is invented. And those are not our binary options. And plus, I'm in the seat now where my kids are grown. Mine are young adults. Yeah. My youngest is 16. I'm up to 24. And so I'm also in the interesting place where now they can kind of mirror back to me some of the pride of having a mom who built a career that she loves and who does meaningful work. And they're like, that was amazing to witness. And that was an example. It wasn't necessarily a detractor. I love how you said, just start at the beginning of the thing. Don't look at the whole thing. Lord have mercy. We might've all quit. I mean, that's too overwhelming. I remember when I was writing my very first book that nobody asked me to write, by the way. I was just going to launch out and do it. And all I could engineer my kids were 1, 3, and 5. Yeah. And so I did a swap-a-roo with a friend of mine, and she would take my kids on Fridays. So I knew I had Fridays. Yeah. I mean, I would put my hat on and just type away as fast as I could. That's what I had. I had one day and I made the most of it until I grew into more, same as you.
Right. And I think that's such a good thing to think about too. It does take a village. And I think as women, we have to stop trying to be these super women, right? That's think I can do this all myself and I have to do it all myself. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is the greatest sign of strength. And when you can say to a friend, a mom friend, hey, I'm struggling right now. I'm trying to get this business off the ground, or I'm trying, could on Wednesdays you my kid carpool with you, or my friends. I mean, I knew early on that when you get a group of women together holding hands and loving one another, anything is possible. And the more vulnerable I could be in saying, you guys, like I'm going through a lot right now. I've got these big, other moms appreciate that because they're struggling too. And it gave them the ability to then open up. And now you are having these really loving conversations and kindness, and you want to help each other because we're all the same. We're all trying to figure out every day. And so, I had friends who would like make an extra dozen cookies for the bake sale in advance, knowing that I was traveling to New York and coming back the night before. And they're like, Kendra, the bake sale's tomorrow. I went ahead and baked another dozen for you because I knew you had a late light coming in. And I'm like, oh my God, but that's what I'm talking about. It does take a village. It really does.
I love that so much. I have found that collaboration to be absolutely true. And
Yes.
for me, the fuel in my whole tank is primarily other women and my group of friends. I want to go back to something you mentioned. You talked about failure, and I appreciate you including that in your story because just as much as dividing out our roles can be a deterrent, so can the fear of failure. But I know 100%, same as you, failure is my best teacher, and boy, did I have plenty of it. And so,
Yes.
could you talk a little bit more about what that looked like for you, particularly early on? Because that's when it can take, you have to decide when you fail
Yes.
early, am I going to
Mhm.
keep going, or was this a fool's errand? And
Right.
so, something about having a failure later when a lot of stuff's already baked in and successful is a little bit easier to
Yes.
manage. But those early failures,
Yeah.
we have
And
to be prepared.
I mean, and this is where you have to, and it's a mindset, right? Because even that word failure is like, I don't know if I love it anymore because
Same.
I think they're honestly gifts. Now, in the moment,
Hmm.
they're not. In the moment, you're like, oh, this is terrible. Why am I going through this? This
Yeah.
is like the most awful thing. When you get on the other side of it and you look in your rearview mirror, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to, marry so and so I could
Yep.
know or date or whatever. Right? Things happen in our lives that are unexpected. And none of us, I talk about things in the book, not just about business failures, but in our, I went through divorce and none of us walk down the aisle thinking that that's going to happen. Yet we're very judgmental on people when they go through some of these things at times. Some people are not, some people are super supportive, but I think it's like having compassion and love and understanding and knowing though that, that relationship brought me wonderful gifts and it wasn't a failure. That was a gift of time in my life. That was the thing at that moment in my life that was important, not just for me, but for a lot of other people too, for my children. I'm so grateful that we have them. So if we start to look at these things instead of being like, God, I wish I didn't do that. And when you talked about what if, I used to think of the what ifs different than how you're describing them, Jen, is I would think of the what ifs as, what if I didn't took this job instead of the job I have now? What if I would? And sometimes we get ourselves buried in the what ifs of our past, and they hold us down from moving forward to our what ifs of the future, the dreaming what ifs. So I tell women, let go of those past what ifs. Take those golden nuggets of wisdom that you learned and let them become building blocks for you, for your future. And then push through that and go, okay, that part of my life, I needed it. I went through it. I experienced it. They're mine. I own it. I'm excited that I got these things from it. But now I'm going to take this and I'm going to the next most amazing place in my life because now I have those lessons, those golden nuggets in my pocket. And, I think that's a really different way to kind of look at the word failure.
I love it. So you had those nuggets from, you started a different business, a first business. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah. So I started the Hat Box when I was 19 years old.
Gosh.
I know, 19. My stepfather had brain cancer and we found out when I was a junior in high school. And so our whole world in our family really shifted. All the things that were important to a lot of the kids in high school, homecomings, proms, I stopped work. It's like my life changed in one moment when I heard he was dying and our focus as a family changed. And you feel so helpless because you can't fix him. But I wanted to do something. And I think, when you're 19, you're an idealist. And I met so many men and women undergoing chemotherapy and understanding hair loss and the options were limited. And so I thought, well, I love fashion. I've loved fashion since I was a little girl. Yeah. Maybe I could help make comfortable headwear for men and women. And so dropped out of college, not with the intent of not ever going back, but and wanting to spend as much time with him during these last few years of his life, that I wanted to start something, and do something in design. And so I had this big vision. I wrote a business plan. I was going to open 500 hat boxes across the globe. It was going to be this big brand. I mean, I was going to do all the things and I was going to fund, cancer research, and I was going to cure brain cancer through my fund.
Yes. I love it.
I mean, literally 19, big dreamer. And after 5 years of running that store, morning till night, 7 days a week, living on, ramen noodles, selling my car to be able to, pay the rent at the mall. I had to realize this business is not working. I was selling a hat or two a day. I couldn't pay my overhead. It was just so hard. And at this point, I had lost my stepfather, the reason I did this business. So, and he was so proud when I started it. And so, before he had passed away. So closing that store was like, I also failed him. I failed my family because now all my friends have graduated from college and I'm a college dropout. I have no degree. I have a failed business. I lost my stepfather to cancer. I was at the lowest of low that you could be as far as just even thinking about my self-esteem. I felt like the biggest failure on the planet. But I realized later I was courageous to try to do that.
Yes, you were.
And I was making jewelry in my little hat store and it would sell the day I'd put it in the case at the register. Wow. I was so focused though, that the hat thing was the thing that was going to work, that I wasn't paying attention to what was actually working until I closed the store. Wow. And customers would call me, not because they wanted a hat, because they wanted a matching pair of earrings for the necklace they bought at my store, or a gift for their sister who loved the earrings that she bought. And so I found myself going to the bead shop and buying stones and creating jewelry and realizing, and I had a job now. I had to go get a regular job in a company. I had to pay my bills after I closed the store. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just this like serial entrepreneur. Like, I had rent to pay and a car payment and, all
I appreciate you saying that. Sometimes right? That's a season that is required.
Yeah. And I also am thankful that I got this opportunity to work in a corporate kind of America job because it was awful for me. No women were in the C-level or executive level. There was a glass ceiling that women in this company could not break. Yep. I had the meanest boss of all time, which I always say is the best boss I ever had because he taught me exactly how I would never want to be.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually that time for me of being my own business and being an entrepreneur and then going and getting a job, as hard as that was, it was also again like this amazing learning because I'm filling all these orders and I'm realizing maybe I do have another business here. And when I built it enough to where I then had my own corporate headquarters, we created a utopia for women. Opportunity was endless. We are 96% female at Kendra Scott company-wide. And it is such an environment of like, all of those lessons, Jen, I had to have to get me here,
Absolutely.
And it is so hard in the moment to sometimes see the forest through the trees kind of thing, see your way through. And it sometimes takes getting to that other place to then realize, and you can see the path exactly back to where you began and why you had to go there.
I love this. I'm leaning forward. I'm hanging on every word you are saying. I love dreams. I love learning. I love all the factors that have to go into making it work, which a lot of times in the moment feels like struggle, feels like loss, feels like failure, to use that word we're not sure is correct, but that's how it feels at the moment. Mm-hmm. And so it's so exciting for me to hear you talk about those early days. Because of course, what we know of Kendra is you now. That's what we know of you now. And so hearing you, thinking about you and your little mall shop and having to like go get a horrible job that you hate in an awful company and making your little jewelry at like 10:30 at night. I love it. I love it because it was tenacious and it was, nothing was just handed to you, right? You didn't just walk into this. And so and I have
to tell you, Jen, once I decided, the company that I worked for required me to travel a lot. And, I got married and, we got pregnant pretty quickly after we got married and that job just wasn't feasible. And that's when I realized, maybe I can try to do business again on my own. Maybe I can try this jewelry. Maybe there's, something that I wanted that I couldn't find, but I was afraid to tell anybody that I was starting another business again. I didn't. I was very quiet about it. I was just like, because I thought I'm the failed business owner. they're going to look at me and go, oh, here she goes again. And I wanted to be like, okay. And I didn't have the big dreams like the Hatbox. I'm opening up, over hundreds of stores or whatever. I was like, I want to be able to have a successful enough business that allows me to be home with my baby as much as I can and spend time with him, help and provide for my family. Yeah. But it wasn't this big thing. And then as I gained a little success, and it was a few people, like people would wear my jewelry and I'd see them on the street and I'd be like, it gives you a little fuel in your tank. And I started getting this confidence back and realizing maybe I have something and maybe I can be proud that I'm trying again. And there may be naysayers out there and there may be people thinking, oh, she's going to fail again, but I'm not going to let them stop me from trying. And the more I thought about them saying, maybe, and these are fake people in my brain. Sure. These are not real people. Sure. But the more I thought of their little voices of like, oh, she's going to fail another business. And these are the things these are probably none of this is really probably happening. But in my world, I thought they were. It gave me more fuel because I'm like, I'm going to show them. I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm not a failure. I know this, I'm going to do this. And I think if we can start taking like those no's or the naysayers or the dream stealers and start to actually, when they say those things, get excited, like make it more like, ooh, tell me I can't do it. Tell me, please. Oh, I like it when someone tells me I can't do something because then I'm like, woo, let's go,
I love it so much. Right. That can be highly motivating. Genuinely.
So we're here talking to Kendra Scott today, who is the brightest light in the jewelry world. But let's talk about another thing that we as women wear almost all the time, but maybe don't pay as much attention to as we should. And that is your bra, my friends. Like if you're a part of the bad bra club, which includes slipping, pinching, poking, gaping, all the things, it's time to fix this. That's where Third Love enters the chat. They've spent years designing bras for every body. They make more than 60 sizes and even invented half cups. So you always get the perfect fit that checks the box on support, comfort, and function. And they look good because that is important too. Third Love has so many options for every outfit or occasion, like from little lacy numbers to wireless, sports bras, and then even like specialty styles like plunge or strapless, even nursing bras, you guys. I wear their 24/7 t-shirt bra almost every single day. You barely know what's on, but the support is there and it makes your clothes fit and look so much better. Third Love also makes it easy to find your perfect fit with their virtual fitting room to find the styles that are just the right match for you. So ditch bad bras. Get a better one that makes you look and feel great. Upgrade your bra and get 20% off your first order at thirdlove.com/forthelove. Yay! That's 20% off your first order today at thirdlove.com/forthelove. If you've heard me talk about morning Jen and nighttime Jen, you know I put simple, easy practices in place at the beginning and end of every day just to prioritize self-care. Like one thing morning Jen recently did for nighttime Jen is she got her new sheets. I ordered some new sheets from Boll and Branch. Okay, to be fair, I was #influenced, but it was time to focus on my sleeping environment yet again, especially during this cozy winter season when it is occasionally chilly, even here in Texas. And I am so glad that I did because Boll and Branch sheets are a game changer. I don't even know if we realize what a difference our sheets can make. Boll and Branch sheets are butter soft, but also super breathable and made with the highest quality 100% organic cotton. It's the kind of quality that you feel the second you slip into bed. I've never slept better. Boll and Branch signature sheets come in 10 peacefully serene colors, all in sizes from twin up to California King. And they're made without toxins and are free from pesticides and formaldehyde and any harsh chemicals. Plus, Boll and Branch gives you a 30-night risk-free guarantee with free shipping and returns on all U.S. orders. So make the most of bedtime with Boll and Branch sheets. Get 15% off your first set of sheets when you use promo code FORTHELOVE at bollandbranch.com. So that's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com, promo code FORTHELOVE.
Take us back. So you've got this baby strapped to your body You're just literally cold walking into stores.
Oh,
I mean,
literally like having to take out my breastfeeding. So I have those uncomfortable pads, like whatever. And it would be like, I'd be in the middle of like giving a pitch and I'd be like knowing I'm leaking because I like really need to feed Cade, but I'm almost there to get this sale.
Yep.
And I'm like, please pads just work. Like these, like literally I'm like, please, don't, it's those little things though, that I think like as mothers, we can relate to so much. And what was cool is I was walking into boutiques that were owned by women. And, in Austin, especially, we are so about supporting our own. If I would have walked in Los Angeles or New York City with little baby Cade and a tea box, because I didn't even have a proper jewelry case because I couldn't afford one yet, they would have laughed me out of the store or called security, most likely. Maybe not everywhere, but most likely. Here,
it's true.
They're so nice. They're like wanting to hold the baby. I was so lucky to start this business in this town and in Texas.
How did it start scaling? So obviously these little store owners started saying, sure, I'm going to place an order and we'll feature your stuff here amongst the rest of our stuff. You didn't have your own store yet.
Right.
Like you were just a designer in among other designers, right?
And Jen, I was never going to have another store again because I said, I will never be in retail. I will never be in retail. This is the things we also do. We skip these like hard and fast, like superlatives. I'm never,
always or never.
Or like, I'm never getting married again. Hello, married again.
Totally.
You say these things.
You're right.
You have to be open, stay open, because we don't know what's going to come next. You know what I mean? But I was just selling to these stores and knowing like, I'm going to do it this way and I'm not going to ever go into retail, says the lady with 130 retail stores.
That's right. That didn't exactly go as you expected. Right. So how did that begin to shift for you? What has to happen in order for you to go, well, wait a minute. This is now growing to the point it can be its own thing. And I might have to revisit that store. Like, what did that look like from, I'm pitching to boutiques to, I need to change my business model. What was that?
I had card tables that my mom brought over in a 10 by 12 extra bedroom of my house. And, my little bead boards and my spools of wire. And I had a bulletin board with my orders pinned up. And I'd be like thrilled if I had over 6 orders to fill at a time. And, I had taught my babysitter how to wire wrap. And it was like, okay, then I got into a Dallas market and a representative there wanted to carry my line. And I'm like, she has no idea that I'm manufacturing out of a 10 by 12 bedroom and that I'm producing all of this, designing and producing, packaging, marketing, accounting, all the things. I was like, of course we can do this. So then I started getting more boutiques, right? Yeah. And then Harold's, I don't know if you remember Harold's, but they had a huge catalog business. They had stores all over Texas. I think they started in like 1910. And they came in and the buyer wanted samples. And this is a good lesson for people listening today. And my rep said, Kendra, they always ask for samples and they never order. I don't want you to waste your time. And I said, I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. Of course I'm going to sample. So I went home and I sampled and I wrapped everything in like beautiful, beautiful tissue with like little ribbons. And I think I might've even sprayed perfume in the box. I don't know, but I wanted it to be like a butterfly release and a handwritten note, thanking her for considering my line, like all these things. And I get a call and they have selected these items for the catalog. It's a $75,000 order. Wow. It's like a big, like this isn't a boutique order, right? This isn't like 15 pieces I'm making. This is thousands of pieces for this catalog. And of course, and she needs it in like 8 weeks.
Oh my gosh. What'd you do?
And I'm in my bedroom. I mean, I'm still in my house, right?
You don't even have employees, right? Like,
no, I have no employees.
You're still just doing everything.
And what's hilarious is I'm on the phone with her and I start to cry, which I get emotional and I tell the buyer, you just gave somebody this, like a business, I have a real business now. Yeah. And I just want you to know, like, thank you for giving me a chance and I will get this order done. Yeah. And saying this, not having any idea how I was going to do it. And then realizing, okay, I need to ask some people for help because I need to get this done. And so from there, I realized, okay, I got to get out of the bedroom and I've got to figure out some manufacturing component. One of my friends was the ex-CEO of Walmart, and he now had a sourcing company in Asia. And he was brilliant. Bill Fields, he's no longer with us, but one of my mentors. And I think for all of us out there, having mentors and people you can call and saying, this is where I'm at. I trust you. I respect you. I look up to you. What would you do if you were me right now? And he basically, he used, he believed in me. So that's another thing. You get some of these, we always say, it takes also strong men who believe in us and women to allow us to grow. He was one of those strong men who said, I believe in you, Kendra, and I'm going to go use one of my chips, because he had way more power, obviously, to get this manufacturing done. And then from there, we started growing our manufacturing to other partners, other countries. It just was step by step, order by order. And, I got an office space and I hired some more people. And it was at first just, what do we have to complete today? I needed production assistants and design assistants. I could do the sales. I can do these things. I was wearing 5 million hats, and hiring people that also like to wear 5 million hats. We're cleaning toilets. We're, we are doing all the things, and you have to hire people that are roll your sleeves up and get going. A lot of those original people are still with me today.
Amazing.
17 years. A lot of them are, 17 years now with me. So very close to the beginning stages.
Amazing.
So you just, it was one step at a time, and then having really strong mentors to help me understand what things I needed to think about as I was growing the business, and really being open and honest, opening the kimono and saying, is this margin right? I mean, am I negotiating this right? Should I be looking at something different? And just trying to get advice.
So good. What was some of the, outside of the brass tacks of your specific business, which obviously business mentors are invaluable. I'm flying to Nashville tomorrow to meet with my business coach and my business developer.
I love it.
Because we don't know what we don't know, right? Somebody else has already done the thing, or they're an innovator around it. But besides some of the tactile business decisions, what were some of the advice and sort of coaching that some of your mentors gave you at that pivotal time that mattered to you, that really was a through line for your work?
Well, I think I looked to people, and they don't have to be in the same industry. I think a lot, because let me tell you, in Austin, Texas, when I started in 2002, there wasn't fashion and design here. I was told by buyers and editors of fashion magazines in New York and LA that I would never be successful because I wasn't on the coasts. And I was like, ooh, another of those, tell me I can't. I go, you don't know Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas in 2002 is not what Austin, Texas is now. Everybody knows how cool Austin is. I knew how cool Austin was then. And it was such a big part of the DNA. And I didn't want to be like everybody else. The reason we were having success is because we looked different. We had our own personality. We weren't trying to be like, everyone's doing wood beads. We have to do wood beads. So we're all looking the same. We did wood beads, but then we'd mix it with turquoise, and we would add different things, and we'd take a trend and totally make it our own. So go back to, what was the question? Because I got off guard there thinking about our jewelry.
I appreciate you saying some of your mentors came from outside of your industry. They weren't necessarily jewelry moguls.
Yes, thank you.
But I was asking about their input in your life at that pivotal time. What did they teach you and tell you, and how did they coach you, and what mattered to you?
So that thank you for leading me into that. So one of those things was one of my mentors. I remember saying this, they're telling me I'm not going to be able to make this line viable on a big scale if I'm not on the coast. But Austin's such a big part of this. And they said, you have to be disruptive, Kendra. You cannot do what everybody else is doing. And, and it's if you're doing that, you've already failed. So you have to do it with your own unique fingerprint, your own personality, and own that this is part of your brand and be proud of it. And I really needed to hear that, because it's easy to sometimes think being different is bad, but being different in business is great, especially if you're filling white space in the market. The other thing, my mentors were sharing with me is look constantly at your competitive landscape. Always look to what your customer, I walk and shop my competitors all the time. I want to know what they're doing because I want to be better every day. I'm never complacent. I want to surprise and delight my customers. I want them to have the most exceptional experience at our stores, whatever it is. And so I think that was another one that stuck with me to really just push forward. I think asking, I tried to get funding. I would walk into so many boardrooms where no one in there looked like me. They're all men in suits. And that was in the dot-coms, the big.
Totally.
And if you weren't in tech, they didn't even want to talk to you. So here comes this bubbly jewelry designer, hey, y'all, with my jewelry and trying to show them though, we've got Nordstrom, we've got these like accounts that are coming in. I'm growing this business, and them just like glazed over, looking at me like, no. So many ways they said no too. It was very creative. Sure. And I remember talking to one of my mentors, and he had an investment fund that funded much bigger companies. So it wasn't something he'd fund with me, and crying and just being like, I'm doing this on lines of credit and credit card debt. I have my entire world up for collateral. Like if I don't pay this loan off, then I went through a divorce. My kids were 1 and 3. So now I'm a single mom trying to do this business with all this debt. And I'm like, no one will invest in me. No one. And I'm running a fiscally responsible company. I'm growing. What am I doing wrong? And he said, Kendra, you're worrying too much about the investment right now. What you need to worry about is continuing to build the best business you can build. And if you build it, they will come. And he said, your phone will start ringing. And that happened. It took 8 years. No, 10 years, Jen, of if you build it, they will come, doing it on debt, to building a business where it was getting noticed and the phone started ringing and investors wanted to invest. But it was 10 years of me carrying this on my shoulders. But I think that was good advice. I wish I could have gotten investment capital sooner. I think it would have alleviated a lot of personal stress for me.
Certainly.
It wasn't in the cards for me, but I did. I focused on continuing to build the best business, and I still do. I try not to ever get sidetracked by that side of it. To me, it's like, if the boss is my customer, and if she's happy, my boss is happy, then we're going to be okay. And I got to focus on that every day. I can't have time to focus on everything else.
Thank you for sharing that. It's encouraging to hear yet again, this is not overnight for you. It's just not. And it wasn't like I had a great idea and then all of a sudden I got $10 million of VC money, right. It just wasn't like that. And that's great, because it's not like that for almost anyone. That's the very rare exception. We hear those stories sometimes. Somebody just catches lightning in a bottle for a million weird factors that'll probably never happen again. Right. And then we think maybe that's the way it should go, but really it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
It is. Yeah. What's funny is in 2016 or 17, I won a Breakthrough Designer of the Year. I had started my company. I had 15 years. I ran this business and I got the award for Breakthrough Designer of the Year. And when I got up in New York City in this huge gala, and I go, well, shoot, it only took 15 years to break through.
That is so perfect. Oh my gosh.
It's so true. But we sometimes think, oh, this just happened. And it really doesn't. And I think that's another thing of where, if we can be real with one another, we're not feeling like we're failures out there, like keeping the grind and doing those things. And like I said, I had my kids with me during all of these moments. Cade had 75,000 frequent flyer miles at the age of 3 because I couldn't afford a nanny. But I'm like, I'll just take them. And I had friends in New York that would watch him during market. I had friends in LA. I had friends in Dallas. And Kate just went everywhere with me. Like he literally was like my little business partner.
I love it. I just love it. You just made it happen. And maybe it looked not traditional, whatever traditional even is anymore. I'm not even sure that's a thing anymore in today's world, but it worked for you. And it worked for your little family, and you made it work for you. And I just love that. There isn't a template that we have to say, it has to be this way, or I'm doing it wrong. Yes. Right? Or someone else is doing it better.
Well, that's the part. That's the part, Jen. Instagram and all the social media, everyone's showing their perfect little families and their perfect, all this perfect. It's not perfect. No one's perfect. We're all every day we're doing the best that we can do. And some days I go to bed and I go, God, today was great. I got it all. I got everybody organized. The business was great. I had good meetings. We did homework. So-and-so got an A on their test today. I didn't forget anything. Wow.
Totally.
I'm crushing life. And then the next day it's like, oh, I forgot that it was like silly sock day and my kid's the only one that didn't have silly socks, or, whatever it is. Right. And you go and you're like, God, I was such a loser today. Like, I am not doing it. And I think as mom, we just got to give ourselves a break.
Totally.
We have to be less hard on ourselves and each other, because there's so many things, and it's okay to say, I'm not okay, or I'm overwhelmed. And in my book, I really wanted to be super vulnerable and share a lot of those really low points and what, the things that were hard and difficult, the setbacks that ultimately became the reason why I moved forward in even a bigger way was because of those setbacks, and show real examples of that. So if women or men or anyone that reads this can say, God, I'm going through this challenge or a change or a career change, whatever it might be, feeling very, in stress and anxiety about it, but having examples of, okay, a woman that I thought like had it all, and she struggled too. This wasn't easy for her. And, I can do this too. I can get through this moment in time.
Everyone, we did a thing. My team and I have been talking about this, really dreaming about this for the longest time, and 2023 is the year. We are going on a cruise. The Jen, Hatmaker and Friends cruise is setting sail in the sunny Caribbean from November 1st through November 5th, and I want you to come aboard. There's no better way to be at sea than with our crew. We're going to be the ultimate squad goals. So look, this is how it's going to go. The Jen, Hatmaker and Friends cruise is an exclusive cruise within a cruise. So we will all set sail together on the incredible Royal Caribbean Harmony of the Seas ship. And you better believe we have just tons of fun in store, with all of the hilarious shenanigans, of course, along with some heartfelt moments and super intentional times of connection during all of our really special programming. Plus, you get to explore all the incredible activities on board the Harmony of the Sea ship. I haven't even announced who my special guests are going to be just yet. Whatever it is, you're going to love them. Bring a pal, bring the fam, or come solo, because we can even set you up with a roomie. No matter what, you'll find incredible new friendships and form incredible memories during all this fun in the sun. I promise you that. So just remember, you have to register at jenhatmaker.com/cruise with our special travel partner to get access to the Jen Hatmaker and Friends exclusive experiences, okay? So head over to jenhatmaker.com/cruise to check it all out. Let's do this, you guys.
Tell me how did you find the writing process? This is a very different muscle from the one that you normally flex.
Yes.
It's different creatively. The process is different. There's almost no comparison. So I'm curious, how was that for you, the process of writing the book? And then what's it been like, the feedback and what you're hearing from your readers and all of that?
Well, first of all, I started because I had been journaling for a long time, just wanting to remember some of these moments in my life that had these really big impacts. Some of them were really great moments and some of them were really bad moments, but I didn't want to forget them. So I wanted to kind of write them down. When 2020 hit, the whole world was going through a really hard time. And I was personally going through a really hard time, not just in the business world, obviously having to temporarily close all of my stores through COVID. But I went through another divorce. Hello. I mean, now I'm failing again, the thing I never thought would happen. And I was, my dad almost died. He had 2 massive heart attacks. So I'm, by his bedside. He moved in with me during COVID so I could take care of him.
Yeah.
I end up having a health scare. I'm in the same hospital he's in during this time. I mean, it was all these things. And I felt like, but in the outside world, Kendra's got this $1 billion brand. Sure. She's number whatever on the Forbes self-made women list. To the outside world, she's living it like this great life. Sure. And inside, I was broken. I mean, I was hollowed out. And I thought, I know other people are struggling too. And so really wanted to kind of share that because I thought it was important, but then also share that to them that we can get through this. And if we hold hands and we help find the light within all of us, we can get through this. And so writing the book for me was, I can type, but I'm not a great typer, and I'm a storyteller. As you can see, I'm a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the ability to be able to tell the story like this and have it turn into text.
Totally.
So I would just take myself to those moments. I would describe it. And then once it got on paper, then I could go back and edit it.
Yeah.
So that worked for me because I would just start talking. And I talked to some friends of mine. I talked, and I would tell them the story and record it. And they would just, like nod and listen and not, so I could get it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the way for me that I could write.
I love this.
Yeah. And, and it worked. And then, I'm also like, I like to close my eyes and like think about, what was my childhood room like? I remember having my Cabbage Patch Kids on my, whatever. So like for me, if I'm closing my eyes and typing, we're in really big trouble. So I could close my eyes and share the story, and it would become I would try to get myself back in that moment in my brain and then just put it out through my mouth. And then it went on paper. So a lot of people that have read my book, it's like, and know me, especially, it's like, you're talking to me.
Because you literally were.
I literally was talking. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. There's so many ways to creatively communicate in print. And I know plenty of career writers who write like that.
Yeah.
Who verbalize it and then they will transcribe it later, but that's the way their ideas flow. That's how it sounds natural. That's how it feels natural. And that's their creative process. And so I love hearing that. There's just a million ways to skin a cat. What's it been like having your book in the world? Because again, you're used to putting products into the hands of consumers. This is your work, but it's different because this is you. This is your story. It is your guts. It's your heart.
Jen,
it's only yours. It's different.
I always get excited for when we launch a new line or whatever. This was and it was personal. I mean, I put stuff in there. I remember, the chapter 1 was a story that I did not plan on putting in the book at all. Mm-hmm. And my editor read it, or actually the publisher, Daisy Hutton, read it. And she said, this has to go in the book. And I think it should be chapter 1 because you read Born to Shine. And in the first chapter, I'm taking you to a really difficult place. And it's something that happened. And I wasn't going to put that in the book. I mean, I didn't want people to know like, oh God, I'm a klutz. I fell down a gulch with my dog. I almost died of hypothermia. Like this was not necessarily like something I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
But it was important to share. Right. So, I think it was scary. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I was having I've never really had anxiety attacks, but I was like, my heart would be racing and I'd kind of be like, oh God, I'm like, why am I so stressed? I was so worried about, did I reveal too much? Was it, or, what will people think? Or, I don't know. You just, and is it good? And did I get it right? Did I, or like all the things. And I'm not a writer, and questioning like, okay, I'm not a writer. And realizing, okay, no, I had to get beyond that. And then getting it in people's hands and then waiting. Did they like it? Did they like it? Did they like it? How did it affect them?
It's nerve-wracking.
When I go on Amazon right now and I read these reviews, I am sobbing to hear people have started businesses after they read this, that they had the courage to try. Women who have gone through career change. I mean, so many notes and letters have come to the office of how this moved them so much. I mean, a mom was one of her children has been in hospital. She read the chapter about me with my son when he was in hospital, how much she just needed this, like how this book, I want to say, I feel like you wrote this for me right now. And I thought if it could help one person, I'd be so proud. And the fact that now I've got thousands of women and men too, which I love, and all different ages, from, high school graduates who are receiving this book or getting this book to, 75, 80-year-olds that love this book. And that makes me I just can't even tell you, I'm humbled and
it's
grateful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. I got a copy of your book in advance and I'm like, oh yeah, this is, just in case anybody's thinking, I can't relate to Kendra because she runs a $1 billion business and I work in accounting. I'm like, no, that's not true. These are ubiquitous human things. Loss, fear, failure, dreams. We all have it. This is shared material. No matter really who you are, what your life looks like, is so relatable and so inspiring and encouraging and comforting even. in parts where you just kind of read something and go, oh, I'm not the only one who felt that way or feels that way or has gone through something like that. So I think your vulnerability came through loud and clear. And I'm not surprised at all to hear that the feedback coming to you is just thankful and grateful. So one last question. I mean, we have been with you with the baby on the Bjorn and now, Kendra, like it's hard to even encapsulate in like a sentence or two how big Kendra Scott brand is. It's wildly successful in the most obscene ways. Like you are a absolute success story. This is a huge, huge, huge business. Probably beyond anything your little brain was ever thinking. I mean, how could you even imagine this? It's
not in a million zillion years. No.
It's so over the top. And so I'd love to hear from your vantage point now. With this, well, I mean, I just don't know what to call it except for an empire. So you've got this beautiful empire you've built from scratch, exactly how you wanted, which I love that. I love the integrity inside your work. What at this point, at this level, which is incredibly rare air, it's a teeny percentage in the world. What is the best thing about being at this level? What's the hardest thing about being at this level? Because to some degree, when you're just in the spare bedroom with the card tables, it's just easier. I mean, you're just scrappy, you're just,
Yeah. I mean, more money, more problems, they say, right? But I think, look, first of all, I am so grateful. I think coming from the bedroom with the card tables, knowing I've almost lost my business throughout this. I mean, the Great Recession, my loan got called. I mean, I have gone through times where I didn't know if I could sustain my business. So it wasn't like it was all butterflies and rainbows for the last 20 years. It's been a lot of like, oh Lord, are we going to get through this? Am I going to make this through? But I think, at this stage, I'm so excited because, as a company, philanthropy is at our core. And after losing Rob, my stepfather, I felt like I had this my friend Holly, who died of cancer, said, live the dash, which is your birth date to your death date, and that dash in between. And make that dash mean something.
Yeah.
And, my stepfather said, you do good, because he had brain cancer. So he got 3 words out, and those words propelled me. And so we have given over $50 million to women and children's charities. In the beginning, I was just making a pair of earrings for a charity auction, whatever I could do. And I just built it from there. So now I get excited because it gives me an opportunity where we're, funding research grants. I started a school for women at the University of Texas, where every single student can have the opportunity to learn about entrepreneurship and leadership, no matter what your major. You do not have to be in the business school to learn this mindset. Those are the things that I think, wow, like I couldn't have dreamed that I could be doing something like this now. So that's the exciting part.
Incredible.
And this next place of my life, right? I think as, I'm chairwoman of the board still, and I'm majority, shareholder and all those things, still designer, because I love the design. But now I get to also just lead the company in the next direction where we can continue to make this really positive mark. My mindset, like I think about still how scared I would be, but before the first of the month when I had the boys and I was paying rent, I don't have to worry about paying rent anymore. I don't have to worry about those things. I know my kids can go to school. That's a relief. But I think for me, I'm still that, kind of dorky girl from Wisconsin. And, and I think sometimes I hope that the book too, just, knows that people like, as these things happen, some people can affect them. And it, for me, it's just, I'm still me.
That's good. That's a positive in the positive column by a mile. And I love that. And I think that's why you're beloved and trusted. It's why some of your employees have been with you for 17 years. That's why, like, ultimately that stuff comes through. People can fake it for a while. They can build a business that lacks integrity and it can succeed. And all of that, you can keep that sham up for a while, but not this long.
No.
So ultimately your true colors will show, and yours do, and they are lovely.
And bright yellow,
They're bright yellow. I was telling Kendra, you guys, before we started talking, that I have a coffee mug from her, and it's bright yellow. And there it is. If you're watching on YouTube, it's so shiny and I love it. I'm so happy to know you. I am so proud of you and of your company and of your work. And I'm grateful to just bear witness to the way that you live generously and your love for community and for people and for justice and for good work. That's my beating heart as well. And so I just think, golly, how many people are you unknowingly mentoring just by living the way that you live and conducting business the way you conduct it and giving the way that you give? It's going to have a centrifugal effect that you'll probably never know, probably never see the effects of, but it is profound. And so,
thank you. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I truly believe in why I wrote the book is that we are all born to shine, Jen. And anyone listening out there that feels like, this is unattainable or I could never do that, you can do anything. Anything is possible. I can promise you. I know in some moments it doesn't feel like they are, but if you can get your mind to know that, you've got this burning, amazing light and your story is what makes you great. So don't be ashamed to share who you really are, because that's what makes all the things make you you. And, I think getting past that fear, push through it and know, you've got an army of people around you. You just got to find the ones that really see the light in you and surround yourselves with those people.
Fantastic. I agree. Couldn't agree more. Okay, sis, that's it.
Thank you.
Next time, let's do this in person, for heaven's sake. We're just up the street from each other.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on today, Kendra.
I sure appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, you guys, I told you would like that. I know that you did. She is special. Special indeed. And I just don't know what I love most. The 97% female operated company, the $50 million in philanthropy, good grief. The beautiful, I think maybe one of my favorite things I heard Kendra say today was, the customer is my boss. That's my one and only boss. And if my boss is happy, then we're happy. I love that. I just love that. I just took a lot away from today's interview. So I hope you did too. So much to come in this awesome series. Like, we're just feeling excited about it. And we want you to feel excited about it. We're excited about you. And I think that's why this whole dream in my little head came from, because I pay attention to all the things that you say all the time. And this is just such a smart, innovative, interesting community. We have such big ideas and good ideas, and our dreams are unique. And I'm just wanting to put a little gas in the tank for you. And so that's what this entire series is about. Don't miss any of it. If you haven't already subscribed, do so. Just hit that subscribe button wherever you get podcasts, and this little show will just show up for you every single week. You won't even have to try for it. So on behalf of Laura and Abby and Caitlin and the podcast crew and Amanda and I, we love you, and we'll see you next week.